Good numbing. We're back with session 3 with Atelier Ryza, where today will probably be a bit of a short one as well, just because I'm trying to get my bearings back and find my footing again. But I wanted to kind of touch base with you all anyway and just kind of ease back into it a bit more. Then hopefully as the week goes on we can do longer-ish streams again, just kind of get back into the rhythm. It kind of sucks that we've had such like a stumble start of Ryza. Like all 3 of the Ryza streams I've been unwell, but it is, it's just what it is. And this week is already like, anyway, I made the schedule post I always do, but just you missed it. We're going to be streaming this for the next few days, but on Wednesday and Thursday we're going to be doing Soul Hackers 2 to try and make up for, you know, not doing 2 streams of it. And I'll explain why it's a maybe in a minute, but I might start Callisto Protocol, because that comes out that day. And I have been looking forward to it. The reason why I said maybe is because it's basically a Dead Space game, and if you don't know what that means outside of it being a horror, it means that that game is going to have an insanely high reaction speed requirement. And if I'm not feeling 100%, my reaction speed's not going to be there, and my sense of focus won't be there, so I'm just not gonna. I'll just wait until I'm better. So it's, I might start it on Friday, but if I'm not feeling 100%, I'm not pushing it. You know? The reason why I'm fine streaming this game is because the Atelier games, by and large, are extremely cozy. They're supposed to be relaxive, work at your own pace. So I can literally do that, and if it gets to a point where I'm starting to struggle or starting to feel a little off or anything like that, it's easy enough to slow down or stop, you know? Whilst in Callisto, it would be like, well, no, the next 10 enemies here to eat me are showing up. So I wouldn't be able to stop, and that extra stress could just do more damage than it's worth. So it's almost like a bit of a build-up this week, because Soul Hackers will be slightly more demand on my brain power, but it's later in the week, so hopefully I'll be a bit better. And then Callisto will be way more demand, but it's way later in the week, so we'll see when we get there. That said, we've got another cutscene, because it's an Atelier game, so of course we do. Since I skipped out on helping around the farm, I'll have to use my honed, sneak-back-home techniques. Hey, I'm home. Len, what do you think to drink? Something with booze in it. Samuel? What do you mean you're home? This is my home. And you reek of alcohol. Ryza, what are you doing in my house? Oh, Samuel, are you day drunk again? Oh, Leo, why? Just leave me alone. Can you tell I got excited to my chemical romance attire? Yeah, I'm gonna try and make a point of rotating every stream what I have on Ryza. You barge into my house, you tell me to leave you alone? I feel so sorry for your son. It's always nag with you. Just like... Oh, hi there, Samuel. Do you need something? What was the Carl? I know it's been real difficult to put down Trails of Cold Steel. I'm glad, dude. You've been, like... I've always been aware of it, and I've always heard people call it almost like the underdog, or like some of the JRPGs, where like, they're really good, but not that many people know about them. So they've always been on my radar, but it's like, yeah, I might actually have to, like, make some time next year, because my schedule for the rest of this year is pretty much set in stone. But I might have to try and put it in the schedule next year to actually try out that series and just see how it goes. Been drinking again, huh? Well, I have some ice cold water straight from the well. Get to share a drink. Good. No need to be polite. Mio, Ryza, why don't you join us? We can all have a nice little chat. Why are you and Mio still so... Damn it, I need a drink. Oh, make sure you don't drink too much and eat some veg. Shut up, damn it. I was competent writing JRPGs overseas. I meant as in terms of, like how many people are aware of it, how consistently well it does, how much it's in like the public sphere, that kind of underdog. Not underdog as in quality. What the heck was that all about? It's not something a child needs to worry about. She's 18! What do you mean? Anyway, what were we doing? We were going to Empel, weren't we? How do I bring up... That's request. How do I bring up story? There we go. Yeah, head to the Empel residence. So it's Persona technically. I had agreed if Persona 5 didn't do 3 million units in the first month. I said, like before Persona 5, absolutely. P5, nah, Persona 5 made the franchise mainstream. What also didn't help is that after Persona 5 came out, what happened? Persona character got added to Smash, so suddenly it was set in stone. He was like Persona became a mainstay global known franchise. I'm not a fan. Yeah, and I think that's a shame, like, because if you're in the niche of Persona, it's genuinely some of the best games like around, and some of the best RPGs ever around. But if you're not, it's never gonna be for you. And I do think that's I suppose it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'd rather things be more specific than more general. It's like literally the thing we were talking about when it was Sonic Frontiers. But I love that game because it's built for a very specific audience, and if you're in it, it's perfect. Instead of generalizing it and making no one happy. Persona is also the epitome of that. If anything, I think Sega as a publisher is a good epitome of that. Something I'm into, but 5 makes me puke. Yeah, 5, I think... 5 I liked when I was in the age range. When I was the age of the characters, I really liked it. And I still have a lot of time for it, to be fair. I still like it for what it is, and still have a lot of time for it in its own way. It's just, as I've got older, I've disassociated with the cast a lot more than I used to. Whilst Persona 4, being a murder mystery, that as a whole has a more optimistic, like, push for everything, I think's just easier to appreciate as a whole. But it's why I'm not streaming P5 when it comes out, but I might be streaming P4 when that comes out on on PS5. Because, like, as much as I like 5, it doesn't hold a candle to what 4 is. And 4 was designed to be beginner friendly, but Persona 4 was designed to bring in a new audience, which is why it's the most light-hearted game in the series. Because they didn't want to they didn't want it to be as grimdark as, like, especially Persona 2 and 3 were. Well, 3 was more teen angst and dark. It was definitely dark in places, but a lot of it's overblown. But 2 was, it spent so much time talking about politics and abuse. It was like, okay, yeah, that game got gritty. Yeah, it's because the main characters lack self-awareness and social awareness. Yeah, that's all, I say all 5. I can't speak for Persona 1 and 2, because Persona 1 and 2 was during a very experimental time of Atlus, so I can at least say 3, 4, and 5. A lot of the core character writing was only done by 2 people. And when you're writing a huge JRPG, putting all the character writing to only, like, 2 people leads to problems, funnily enough. Because it makes it harder to make each character different, because it becomes harder for the writer to relate and put enough personal involvement in each one to make them believable. There's only so many traits you can do. And that's especially apparent, and I'm not saying they can't do it, because there are examples that I can't think of where it's happened. They're both men, and they suddenly have to write very personal female character stories as well. And it's like, sometimes you can tell that they just don't get it, and that applies to 3, 4, and 5, and it's like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it certainly makes it more awkward, and part of the reason why I'm more looking forward to 6 when it happens is because Atlus as a company has radically expanded, and they actually have a dedicated writing team that's different from what they had in 3, 4, and 5. So, touch wood, that will lead to more interesting character writing in the future. Collaborate and write the best novel ever, don't give them credit they don't deserve. Yeah, true. Not to brag, but yeah, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean. Like, it's part of the reason why I'm so looking forward to 6 when it eventually happens, and I think it's also why 6 is having such a longer development time, because we've known, like it's never been officially announced, but it's been definitely, we've been told and winked about it enough times. And Persona 6 went into development almost as soon as base Persona 5 wrapped up development in September of 2016. Because of the sheer success it broke, Sega immediately put them on the next game. And, you know, like, because it was so successful, rewarded them with, you know, a bigger budget, but also hiring a heavily expanded team to finally trying to deal with some of the short sightings. So too many yeah, I get you mean the whole too many cooks, but if it's a core writing team, like if they can all be in a room and discuss, and they've had, you know, since 2016, so they've had 6, potentially 7 years by the time it actually gets announced to work it on and piece it together, I think we'll have something connected and it'll be alright, you know? Like, I think it will work. To be honest, my concern with 6 is, we know, and I've always talked about it, that Soul Hackers 2 was effectively one giant experiment for the future of Atlus games, which is why it was unfortunately a lower budget, but it was also really weird in all the different ideas it did, because it was basically just it was just spitballing ideas into a game to see what people liked and what people didn't. And the biggest one was a talking protagonist and a female protagonist, and I really hope both of them are in P6. The other one, and I've always spoke about it, is that I get that every single Persona game, including those classic games, you're always like high school students, but I don't want the P6 cast to be high school students if they still want to do darker stories. I'm not saying they can't, because, you know, I've played so many games with like high school aged characters that have really good dark narratives. I'm just saying personally I want them to be college aged. That was one of the things I actually really liked about Blue Reflection Second Light. They're all of them are either on their last year of high school or in their first year of college. They're not just high school kids. Well, I said some of them kind of are, but, you know, they're all like 19 to 20. They're all 18, 19, 20, that kind of age range. And so they can just be that little bit more mature, and they can use that to tell just that little bit more mature stories. The best idea, a talking female protagonist. I know, right? It's crazy. It's so... And the reason why I get annoyed at it is that there's been 2 instances in a Persona game where there's been a female protagonist, and both of them were really, really weirdly handled. The one that everyone knows is Femsi from P3, which wasn't even done by them, it was done by Ghostlight, so that one barely counts as an Atlus female protagonist. Persona 2. In Innocent Sin, one of the party members, and easily one of the most interesting characters, besides Lisa, was a girl called Maya, who was a journalist who was a few years older than the protagonist, who was investigating, but just had an extremely bubbly, eccentric, and positive personality. Think Ryza, but more mature. So think, I guess, Ryza 2. I haven't played Ryza 2, but that was kind of what Maya was like. She was just super, like, positive, optimistic, always in for a scoop, always wanted to see what happens next, always up for anything. They made her the protagonist of Eternal Punishment, and they immediately took away her voice. Like, the very second you take control of her, she never says a word in Eternal Punishment, and I was like, nah! It's like, come on, you had something going. Innocent Sin had such a fantastic like character of Maya, but the moment she became the protagonist in Eternal Punishment, she just stopped talking. I was like, no, come on, I wanted to play as this cheeky bean of a human, and they just stopped. They made her mute immediately. Thinking about age, what get about is competency. Who's a bit more mature. Sophie, kinda. You've also got to understand it was in the 90s, so it's got that slightly like 90s anime flair to it in the writing as well. Which, personally, I love. I know it's not for everyone, but I love that kind of 90s era anime writing. But that was kind of what Maya was like in Innocent Sin. And so then you get to Eternal Punishment and she's dead mute, and I was just like, come on. It's like, it's great that I get the player and everything, but that, I get what you mean with the age thing. I think, like, especially with Atlus, Atlas always you can tell I'm still getting there in terms of my health. They always seem to take age, especially now they're so much more aware of how much of a Western audience there is. They take age as like the end-all be-all decider of how dark that character's story can get. Oh, the nice flare back. Yeah, I miss it, dude. And so it's like, you can see a little bit of it in Persona 5, where because Anne is 16, they want to talk about, like, specific darker topics with her, but they get cold feet on it super quick. Because they're like, she's only 16, would it be appropriate? Would it just come across weird? Those concerns could genuinely go through their heads, and so they don't. And, like, for me, it's like, if they just made them college age, hopefully that would take the concern off them. And also, maybe it's just because I'm biased and I'm 23, and I want characters closer to my age. But I want to be able to relate to some of these characters still. Yeah, mentality, you take your entire life, get into a Persona game, it'd be ridiculously dark. Yeah, but I guess it's just one of those things. It's like, as a writer, what would you consider the limit of what you want other people to read when it's associated with characters of X ages? Like, I know that's like, it's an awkward one to do. Like, in my book, I do have one character who's not an adult. I have one character that's 17, and there is a lot of dark shit that happens in Demon of Zen. And I just kind of ride with it, but I keep it not surface level, that's the wrong word to put it, that kind of undermines it, but it's like what ends up hitting her directly compared to what hits all the adult cast directly is slightly different. I do tone it back ever so slightly when it's Vita because of the fact she's 17. Because I'm just like, no, I'm not going to put them through this sort of shit. Hazel, on the other hand, she's 22, she can handle it, you know? TBH says, one of the darkest anime featuring middle school characters. Look at Magica Madoka. Yeah, that's a fair point. Darker, even younger characters. Sorry, excuse me. But then speaking of dark games, or dark stories, I will be, depending on my health, playing Callisto Protocol when it comes out next Friday, because I've been really looking forward to that. It's just because it's basically a Dead Space game. If you've ever played a Dead Space game, you know that the biggest thing about its survival horror, other than the horror, is that it has one of the most demanding reflex speeds of any survival horror game in the market. So if I'm not feeling 100%, I just won't start it on Friday because my reaction time won't be instinctual, which is what you need to survive a Dead Space-esque game. I'm looking forward to it because I love how... It's because the creatures are like faster than lightning in like Dead Space and in Callisto. Like, they're literally like faster than bolts of lightning. They are insane. You have to be muscle memory reaction speed. If you think about it, they've already got you. Garatus, but I think people overthink the age thing. Yeah, and I think that's alright, you know? Like, for me, like, it's not that I worry about it majorly, it's just it's slightly less on them. I'm just like, you know what, just... We'll... You know? Like, the worst they've taken is a knock to the back of the head that, like, dizzied them. One I wrote. There's a point, like, because I've been writing, where I've been ill and not been able to do much else, I've done a lot more writing. And I wrote a fight scene between Hazel and her sister where they get into a disagreement and it just escalates. And Vita, the 17-year-old, gets in the middle of them. But because, you know, both the sisters are demons, their power, their physical strength far surpasses anything of a human, whilst Vita is just a human. And so the amount of damage she takes from a single blow in both directions are a lot more worrying and a lot more damaging to her, especially because one's on the back of the head. And it's like, that was like a piece of the writing I just did. So that's like the most fresh on my mind. That's like the kind of thing like Vita would be, that she although she's awkward and kind of robotic in how she acts sometimes, she cares more than anyone, and it ends up putting her in harm. So the problems with underage is, from my opinion of Persona is not the age, but the delicacy and method of writing. That I'd agree on. Persona 1, 2, and 4, I think, handle their subject matter very well. 3, I think... oversteers sometimes, and like it not hams it up, because that tries to make it like it's not so serious, but it tries too hard sometimes to push some of its dark material, that it kind of goes full circle back into being slightly ridiculous. Whilst P5, it feels like it gets cold feet on every single dark or prominent story thing it wants to talk about. And I know with P5, to an extent, it's because the base game, the release window, was still kind of rushed, and so they just didn't get to completely fill out every single story arc they got to do, which is why Royal kind of annoyed me, because instead of going back and filling that out, they just added an extra up in the main story instead of just adding things. It still had problems, but they did clean things up in Festival. Although it's like abuse and whatever of grace, it can win a lot of people over. Well, it's like, ultimately you'll always be up to the reader when it comes to my book, how well I handle it. But like, if I handle that topic in my writing, I don't explicitly show it all the time. I prefer to make it an implication that's unspoken, and just maybe if these two characters happen to spot each other, one of them flinches, and it's left to you to go, hang on, or something like that. I would rather do that than explicitly state it, because the last thing I want to do when I'm writing is the ultimate chokehold of me being a writer, is that I care too much about my own characters, and so unless it's literally in the first draft that this thing is going to happen, if I'm later on and I'm oh, this bit will happen, this bit makes more sense to do this now, I will struggle to do so because I will care about my character too much, and I won't want to see them get hurt. If it's in the initial planning and the initial draft of, in this part they're gonna get messed up, in this part they're gonna die, it's still happening. But if it's just along the way, oh, wouldn't it be good if I added this little bit, I struggle a little more, because I already care, I already attached, and so when it comes to actually writing about those topics, it has to be in the first draft, otherwise it's probably not going to happen, or it'll just be implied. Aggressive in our approach to things, considering every main character supporting and villain are based on traits of my life and personality. So in fact, I actually, I don't know if I've told you, but how I write every character, it's not too dissimilar to you in that sense. Every single character is either written on who I feel I am or used to be, or they are who I want to be, or they're who I fear I could have been if I continued down certain paths or did certain things in life. And I usually any hero or villains based on those three things. They're what I am, what I wish I was, or what I really am glad I'm not. Everything's still slightly connected to me, which does result in admittedly a couple characters not being similar, but it's if they're optimistic, there might be two optimists, sort of thing, and it might be they might handle their optimism differently, but it's there's two optimists, and it's oh, okay, this is from this chunk of Rob's brain. Anyway, I've been staring at Rolf. Ryza's just been blank staring at Rolf for the past 10 minutes. Yo, Ryza, need help with something? Sorry, no, I just happened to be passing by and staring into your soul. Okay, well, let me know if you do find my soul. I will, and please let me know if there's anything I can help you with, other than staring into your soul. Huh? Are you trying to become a handyman too? Going to become colleagues or something? No, but I've been gathering materials and making things to help out with things like that a lot lately. So, if you ever need any goods or anything, I might be able to make them for you. So I just feel if I does not draw my personal experiences and just mechanically writes on tropey logic, which would normally be fine if not for the specific subject matter. Yeah. Honestly, the biggest thing I'd be okay with, and the reason why I make a point of pushing it, is because Persona 5, when it was first, a very, very first teaser and first shown off, there was a lot suggesting that the game was going to have a much smaller cast than it ended up having. A lot smaller cast. And then when it got delayed for 3 years, suddenly the cast size doubled. And I don't know whether that cast size was always in plan to be there and they just didn't show them off yet, or whether in that delay they rewrote it and expanded. But in P6, I would genuinely be okay with a smaller cast of like the main characters. Like, do what you want with the side characters, but the actual like main cast, I honestly wouldn't mind it being smaller. Because keep in mind, like, Persona 1, it was 4 main characters and 1 optional. In Persona 2, it was technically 6 main characters. The reason why I say technically is because it's a swap out, so you only have 5 main characters at any time. P3, it was 10. 11 if you want to count the dog. In 4, it was 8. And in 5, it was 9, I think, if you count Akechi. And it's like, I kind of preferred the 4 or 5. I think the 4 or 5 would be fine for P6. Or at least 6. At the most 6, sorry, for P6. You know, 6 main, 6 Persona 6, number theming, But, like, that's it. I genuinely think tone it down, so then you can make each character have more breadth. I can't say that word properly today. You know what I meant. Like, give them more, because, like, it's the same with every Persona game since 3. Whoever's the last character to join gets the least screen time, and so they don't really get time to really click the same way the rest do. Haru got it the worst, because she's straight up not in the game until it's her story arc. At least Naoto in 4 is present throughout the game before her story arc. You know? And so you actually get a bit more for her. Whilst Haru is just way worse, because you have no idea who this royal bitch is, who this woman is, until suddenly it's her story arc, and then her story arc is hijacked by Morgana's bullshit for most of it anyway. And then her dad dies, and it's like, oh, well, we've really had no time to learn Haru here, have we? Because you're immediately then into the casino and all the endgame stuff, so you really get no time whatsoever to appreciate Haru. Which I think's a shame, because I actually didn't mind Haru. But she really got the short end of the stick because of the nature of the beast. If you guys have anything, I might be able to make some for you. I see. In that case, maybe there is something you can help me with. Of course, what is it? I got a gig the other day to repair a house, but I'm a little short on the lumber I need. Have any extra laying around? Better take it off your hands. Oh, gotcha. Let me see what I can do. I've got an axe, and I'm going to do a lot of lumber chopping, so we should be good. Yeah, we're good. What I like to see. Oh, I always got to try and see if I can just hold the button. So I need to just zip across. I do appreciate that it does auto-scroll, though. This was probably the game where they started doing that then, because in Lydia and Suli, it was still I had to manually tap right and then go right X, right X, right X, right X to click them all. Oh no, in Lydia and Suli, I eventually figured out if I held X and then moved it along, it would auto-do it, so I have to check that. Put you the lumber. Thanks, now I can finish that job. So everything's all good now? Yup, you really saved my bacon. Also, I got a few more jobs since last time we talked, so I might need to ask for your help again later. I'm glad I can help wherever I can. I'll try and save it for emergencies, of course. Always. Remember to tell who the actual handyman is. But we're officially colleagues now, so I hope we work together more. And let me know if you need anything. Yes, I will. I better get going for now. I suppose whilst we're like doing this and heading over to Empol and whatnot, I could talk about that Ryza 3 trailer, because I did cave in and watch it, and it was really good. You might ask for more materials before long, so maybe I should just gather some now, just in case. And genuinely, like, my 2 favourite things, one of them was the reason why I made that meme video. I don't know if you saw it, one man, I made like a 10-second meme video about the Ryza 3 trailer, because when I saw it, I was like, that's actually really cool, and I'm surprised I hadn't done it sooner. Is there any other quests in here? Should we just move on? Let's move on. Number 1 is, outside of things that require manual resources, like things that require using these, you can pick up and gather resources while on the move. So like, say like there's a bush where that barrel is, I can literally do this and Ryza will grab it and we'll just keep moving and it'll come up saying you got X and Y. And that's such a simple quality of life change that they're doing in Ryza 3 that I am all for. But in saying that, I don't know if it's in Ryza 2, so I don't know how new it actually is. But I saw in Ryza 3, there's full-on deep-sea diving. And there's like certain resources, like you can get like a little snorkel and everything and go like deep-sea diving. And I'm like, that's kind of cool for like an open-world-esque game. Just pick a puddle and hop in. I can't do that one yet. Is there any other quests in the area? Oh, right at the end of the beach. And someone at Gusk heard me after Furious when I said I want mounts back, because Ryza 3's got mounts again. They'd summon too. Oh, okay. But the big one is, I've never genuinely, like, I appreciate it because it's a speed boost, but I've never understood why they have the speed shoes take up a whole slot. You know, the things that literally all they do. Let's see, there it's gonna be. Yeah, true. Like, I've never understood why they have, like, you know, shoes that slightly raise your movement speed and it be a big thing. But I get it's like to avoid encounters easier and whatnot, but outside of that, it just feels like a pointless slot. They finally are doing something with that. In Ryza 3, you can make wind-powered shoes. And so, literally, it looks like she's riding an invisible skateboard, and it's literally she's riding the wind current on her shoes. And you can just, like, literally deja vu drift everywhere at, like, a super good speed. And I'm like, that's actually really cool, because that's something to do with alchemy that then actually applies to the overworld that isn't just a new way to get resources. It's actually a way to travel quick. Now, all I need to know is if I can do, like, them tricks and, like, start jumping over things. Difference is regular shoes and Jordans. Oh, hey, Daniel. Hey, Ryza. You're so much bigger than I'm exactly the same size. I know. It's just my way of saying hello. Anyway, I've got a heck of a story for you. Really? Tell me. Piqued your interest, huh? I'm afraid now is not the time. Huh? Why not? I believe that every good story deserves a friend, wouldn't you agree? What do you mean? I'd like to hear what you've been up to while I'm gone. Doesn't have to be a full-on capital S story. You can tell me about something you've made, whatever. Rage against the machine to start playing if you're not being able to do tricks. Don't. If you can, like, I am going to, like, upgrade. If it's, like, anything like the broom in Furious where you can upgrade and, like, crank its speed, I am going to turn into Speed Racer and just, like, start doing half-pipe tricks off, like, any fence as we pass by. Because of the open-world nature of the game, I will be, like, really leaning into it. The 64 game got me into it because of Rage and Good at Radio, made me love it. Yeah, I want to do a Tony Hawk stream. I genuinely want to do a TH stream, but I want the, like, Sony to first get their ass in gear and actually do more PlayStation classics and put, like, the old Pro Skaters or the Underground games on, because I used to live off those. I've got Pro Skater 1-2 HD, so I could go through that sometime. But I was a Tony Hawk skateboarding kid growing up, so I literally played all those games. Well, until they got bad, because they did dip. Like the cracks were in Underground 2, but Underground 2 was still super fun. But then American Wasteland, it just plummeted to me. I just did not like that game. And then Project 8, or Project Lag, as I always called it, it was fine, but the lag was insane. And then Proving Ground was just bad. Proving Ground was just a waste of time. I just did not bother with that. And so I didn't bother with the arcade, like the Xbox Live Arcade version of Pro Skater, because it was such a weird reimagining downgrade. And I didn't bother with Pro Skater 5, because I knew it was going to be a rush product long before it was out, because the contract with Activision was about to die. So it was like it was a rush job to have one more game out just in case they couldn't renew the license to try and get one more burst of money. They ended up renewing it anyways, it didn't matter. But then after that, they got a new team that actually cared in, and they made Pro Skater 1-2 HD. And I watched some gameplay of it and went, oh, this actually looks like a team that cares. Got it and loved it. It's such as one game in life. Yeah. I haven't platinumed that game though, mostly because the online trophies can go to hell. I don't know why, in this day and age, game developers still think it's fun to make online-only trophies. Because it's not. They suck. It's the same reason I've never platinumed Team Sonic Racing. Because make a racing rival and then beat them in a race, it's like, I don't know anyone else that plays it to save them as a rival to then beat them in a race. Win a tournament, there's not enough people on the servers to set up a tournament that will then stay for the full duration of it. What? No. It's actually better than the original. Yeah, there's Pro Skater 1 2 HD, I loved. I thought they were genuinely better than the original. I thought they really did a really good job of honouring it. The Xbox Live Arcade remakes of 1 and 2, though, they were the ones that were the radical downgrade. But the modern ones on PS4 and 5, they were really good. And it's a shame because Tony Hawk himself told us as soon as they were done with 1 plus 2 HD, they immediately began work on 3 plus 4 to get like the whole original 4 Pro Skater games in. But Activision, despite the sheer success of it, immediately like took that team and sent them into the Call of Duty mines. So the game never got finished or pushed into or got further in development. They immediately got stripped down and got forced to work on Call of Duty. And I'm like, come on! Like, they had a good thing going and you just toiled it. You just spoiled it and threw it away. Because Pro Skater 3 was my first Pro Skater, so I would have eaten that up. That was my entry game to Tony Hawk as a kid. So I suppose online trophies. So I played a WWE 2K series. Yeah, I just don't think they're necessary, especially because one day, no matter what, those trophies are eventually going to become unobtainable. You know? Because eventually those servers will either not have players in them or will straight up be shut down. It will always happen eventually. And so don't make it so that like 100% in the game is literally inaccessible. Or potentially could become inaccessible. But I suppose that's a different discussion. Because if I'm going to talk about that, then I have to talk about the Hitman trilogy and how they're single-player games that require an online connection to play. And then that's just an entire different can of worms of things that annoy me. Which is why I don't play the Hitman reboot, by the way. Because I don't agree with that mentality whatsoever. In 20 years' time, any of the classic Hitman games I'd still be able to pick up and play and have a good times on. In 20 years' time, absolutely no one will be playing the reboot Hitman because their servers will be down. And so the games will be inaccessible. Anyway, okay, well, do you know what alchemy is? Alchemy? Doesn't ring a bell. My battles were an awful trophy set at WWE 2K22's. The worst with my faction. I actually cried tears of joy when I completed my faction because I didn't have to play it again. And that's what's unfortunate when that's like that in the trophy list, where it's like you get the trophy and it's not a sense of satisfaction, it's a sense of good riddance. You know, like it's always kind of gutting because it's like it almost feels like what was the point in doing the journey? Like you did it out of habit or out of like necessity, not because of out of desire or out of like the victory sort of thing. But yeah, I might try and get that in. Well, so I say that, like, nothing's set in stone beyond the week that I've done, so obviously things can rotate around. But I want to do another Resident Evil before Christmas. I want to get Code Veronica done before Christmas. And then between the start of the new year and March, we've only got one more Resident Evil I need to do before the remake. So at some point next month I want to do Code V. But, at some point I want to do Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered on Veteran, because although they weren't the most successful the streams, I had so much fun. I had so much more fun than I thought I would going through them. So I kind of want to do MW2's campaign, you know, especially because of how many rumors are around the market that the Modern Warfare 3 campaign remaster is done and they're just waiting for a good opportunity to release it. It's like, nah, I want to get it done so I can then go into the MW3 remaster as well at some point. So it's like, at some point that's on the docket, and I want to kind of do that before the new year. I might also end up trying to see if I can squeeze in Tony Hawk stream or something. Just like make a new save and do all of arcade mode for like 1 and 2. Do you have Code Vein? I don't know. If it was on PS Plus, maybe, but I don't know if it was. I think a game similar to it was. I don't know. I don't think I do, actually. So I always, like, impulsively add anything on the PS Plus library to my collection, so if I do take the interest, I can. But I don't know if it was ever added. I feel like it was at one point. Because that's just anime Dark Souls, isn't it? Anyway, alchemy doesn't ring a bell. No, we're just right here. I'll whip something up. I'm going to use alchemy something especially for Daniel. Code V. Oh, Resident Evil. Chronologically, in Resident Evil, after Resident Evil 3, is Resident Evil Code Veronica or Code V. and then it's Resident Evil 4. And so I'm saying, like, I need to get Code V done. I'm talking about Code Veronica. God Eater, but that's what I assume to be, yes. Also, what do I need to make? I didn't even actually, like, check that. Any magic tool, okay. Because yeah, it goes chronologically. It goes 0, 1, 2, 3. Code Veronica 4, 5, 6, 7 village. But I skipped 0 because I genuinely think 0 is bad. I genuinely don't like Resident Evil 0. So I was just like, you know what? For the sake of my like sort of marathon, I'm gonna skip that for now. But I have said before, and I will say it again, for just because I'm not covering 0 this time doesn't mean I'm never. No, I think I do. You know what? Never mind. That quest can wait. 0's mechanics are the worst. No, I disagree with that. They're not the best in the series, personally, because I think Kiwami polishes it up insanely. But I don't agree they're the worst. Because 3, 4, and 5 would like to have a word with you. All of those games, don't get me wrong, they are fun in their own way as well, but all of them are so astronomically stiff. And especially 4, I straight up don't like 2 of the playstyles. In my opinion, yeah, sorry. Like, I straight up don't like 2 of the playstyles in 4, and I straight don't like all but only Akiyama and Kiryu in 5. Like, in 3, even though it was clunky, it worked because the whole game was built around it. But in 4, some of those characters just don't work and just aren't fun. And in 5, it just feels like that got escalated. It became too many cooks, and I just didn't enjoy it. But then I always get glared at when I say that, because I straight up don't like Yakuza 5. I think Yakuza 5 is the weakest of the main lot, and that's enough to put me on lists for some people. Because I know people that genuinely think it's like the best game in the series and love it to death, and I despise it. I found the game extremely boring, extremely tiring, and half the story literally could be removed and it would change nothing. The AI, like regular mechanics wise, they're different from K1, but someone made it worse, making 0's AI horrible. You say that like K1 came out before 0. 0 came first in release order. Yeah, the thing is, like, the big thing with 3 is a lot of people say, oh, the enemies just block, and it's like, no, they only block you if you do the same attack twice. All the game's doing is trying to make you experiment and do different combat options, and then the game's fine. And in terms of story, yeah, it was trying to introduce and set up a new thing, which actually, you know, gets continued in the later game. So a lot of its plot threads do get justified. They might feel pointless in 3, but they do get justified because they actually have weight and significance to later events in the series. In 5, oh my god, Saijima's whole story, remove it and nothing changes. All he does is have a dream, break out of prison again, meet up with Majima, and go back to prison. What was the point? Or that other guy, that baseball guy, who, he can't pay rent, he's kind of lazy, he has a respect for the sport, no, his friend's one of the bad guys. Alright. Anything else? No, that's it. Oh, okay, it's the reason why you never show up again in this series. You know, like, and there's 2 whole chunks of the game that you put up with that. Saejima takes up an entire quarter of the whole goddamn game, and he contributes nothing to it. And the baseball guy contributes, like, near the end of the game, like a huge chunk of it, and also means nothing. And so the whole game just became tiring, because it's already the longest game in the series. And I get it, it's also the most content-rich, And so of course, like, you know, if you like that, then cool. It's got the most like new skills to learn, the most like areas to explore. On a base level, yes, it's the most content rich, most going for it. Yeah, it is probably the best one. But in terms of like how many times I've rolled my eyes, 5 also holds that. And for me, I was just, once I was done with 5, I never wanted to go back to it again. And also, just as a heads up, if you are trying to platinum all the Yakuza games, Yakuza 5's completion list is one of the most bloated, most evil lists in the series. And like, I mean, like, it is excessively bloated. It is exhaustingly bloated. It's not enough to ask you to, like, you know, win a mini game. It's like, win it 5 times if every single condition each. And using cheat items will make it so you don't get it on your completion list. So it's like win by X way, win by Y way, win by Z way, and do that each time. And it's just like, do every single heat action in the game once, and in the game that's infamous for having the most abstract and obscure and hard to find heat actions in the series. You know, like, it's... Y5 is exhausting with its completion list. It's genuinely evil. And, like... and the thing is that, because I watch a streamer called Ray Navarez Jr., he's, like... Because he's an achievement hunter by nature, so, like, where we get the Platinum Trophy, he's got, like, full game score. He's done every single Yakuza game, and he said during the completion for Y5, single-handedly put it lower down his list of favorites, because of how exhaustive that is. It's like, he used to really like it, but it did dip slightly, because 100%ing it, all the others, like, some parts were kind of grindy and a little tiring and whatnot, but nothing compared to 5, and how much of a burnout that game caused trying to 100% it. And I was just like, oh jeez. Saejima, Majima, in my opinion, the most nonsensical main protagonist, the epitome of Yakuza series overall. No, them being nonsensical is fine. Them being insignificant to the plot was where my problem was with Saejima in 5. I love the antics. I love when it's ridiculous. Part of the reason why I like 7 is because it ups the idiocy. That game is one of the weirdest, dumbest RGG games they've ever made, next to things like Dead Souls, and I love it. My problem is that I just felt Saejima was insignificant to 5. And I get that the game had like that strong sense of theme of like dreams and whatnot, and so he did, like, you know, correlate to the dream. But correlating to a central theme doesn't immediately make you relevant, unfortunately, and at least to me it didn't. But obviously, I said, I accept completely, I am entirely in the minority with Yakuza 5. I am entirely in the minority. Every single person I talk to rate it as like their favourite or second favourite Yakuza game. Yeah, I'm the one guy who's like, I hate it, I think it's the worst one. I completely accept that, you know, I completely accept I'm like the odd one. I'm the one that thinks Kiwami 2 is the best one. I'm the one that's like, everyone just kind of goes, oh, I mean, it's good, but alright, you know? I'm saying Yakuza, it's not even Kiryu, Majima and Saejima. Yeah, no, it's, most of Yakuza is, the drama between the factions or the side events. It's the drama between the Sojo clan and the Yomi alliance, or it's whatever side activity you walk into. Then there's no in between. It's just that you have a sturdy, familiar main character as you go through the games that has a really good head on his shoulders, so it's a respectable protagonist for all of them. Good company with me, especially with Net. Yeah, fair. What's going on? Something must have happened to make you call us out here. Don't look at me. Lila's the one that subbed this meeting. Oh, really? That's right. I want to do a little test to see if length is actually useful yet. Ooh, she's a tough mistress, isn't she? She's not, I want to see if you've actually learned anything, so I want to see if you're actually useful. Like some kind of exam? Something like that. There's a good spot near the port. We found it during an investigation a while ago. So you want us to go and explore it? I'm getting pumped. Go there, investigate the area, return safely. Remember, I'll be evaluating every choice you make. Okay. I'm kind of scared. Why don't you two go without me? That's not gonna fly, is it? Absolutely not. Respect is. Well, is the protagonist even doing it? It's large part of Yoko's assignment. It's also, what is this doing here? Yeah. But I think, at least for me, what it usually gets away with most of the time is that even though it's not their problem, they insert themselves into the problem enough to actually make a difference. Like, I think even in Zero, if Kiryu had just taken his lumps, taken his BS, and thrown out the Yakuza, and then just went into hiding, what would have happened with the Tojo clan? And how radically different would it have been later in the series as a result? But because he stood up for his own moral grounding and reinserted himself into the situation, like it or not, things radically changed and he saved a life. I mean, other people died, but he saved that blind girl. Well, with the help of Majima, they both saved that blind girl. And stopped a crazy Chinese assassin from, like... Oh, was he Chinese or was he Korean? I can't remember. I think he was Chinese. I feel horrible now I just said that, but it's been so long since I played Zero. But, rationalizing. Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm not trying to shoot down your defenses. I'm just trying to almost clarify myself as well. But yeah, that's kind of it. But I'm also the person who's like, although I didn't love 6, I do defend 6. I don't think 6 is anywhere near as bad as people make out. People make out as like the worst thing ever, and I'm like, really not. It had lower stakes, and it was shorter, and it definitely did some weird things. Chinese, Koreans are K2. Yeah, that's what I knew. I was getting muddled. Mind, we teach you what you need to know in order to assist us with our own research. Exactly. So while you're there, keep your eyes peeled for this. I need you to bring this back for me. Okay, so... I'm gonna put 6 on the look. How do we find it? Because I like 6. I do. A lot of people were disappointed. People who were invested in the story and eagerly anticipating 6's release were disappointed that it was lower key. But I think it being lower key was the right way to go about it after both 5 and 0 were so ginormously excessive. I think if 6 was also super big and excessive, it would have felt, not redundant, but it would have felt too similar to the past. And I also think making it just a Kiryu show for 6, considering it's supposed to be the end of the saga, made sense. I know people kind of wanted the other characters to be there, but I felt just for 6 it made sense. Maybe it depends on the day. Yeah, that's fair. So there are problems with 6, no one's going to deny that. But there's also a lot I liked with it that I think really clicks. It's funny, so I played 6 way after its release. Yeah, as did I, to be fair. But you got to remember is that Yakuza 5 came out in, what, 2011? And Yakuza 6 was like 2017. So people that were waiting for the next step in Kiryu's storyline wait for a long ass time. No, actually, it was 2012, sorry, for Yakuza 5. It was also the very first game to introduce the Dragon Engine, which is also why it's the clunkiest game on the Dragon Engine. Which, speaking of, apparently they're moving away from that. They've said before that now, like, the Yakuza series as a whole are more multi-platform. The Dragon Engine is starting to show a hell of a lot more cracks, because the Dragon Engine was pretty much only really built for PlayStation, and so they're debating moving to Unreal Engine soon, like properly. It's why the Ishin remake coming out early next year is on Unreal 4, because they're experimenting with Unreal to see if there's a future using it, and if there is, they might abandon Dragon or retire the Dragon Engine and just go to Unreal 5. Which would be interesting, because the Dragon Engine is still one of the best looking engines in the industry, and is only about to be surpassed by things like Unreal 5. Yeah, so it's literally just because, firstly, it's an old engine, and secondly, because the franchise is multi-platform, the Dragon Engine was only ever built with PlayStation in mind, so it's a lot more awkward. Never mind, yeah. You know, Ishin is on Unreal 4, but they're looking into Unreal 5 in the future. I don't know about oh, I can't remember what it's called. The spin-off Yakuza game that's based between 6 and 7, where you play as Kiryu. That's also coming out late next year. I don't know if that's on Dragon Engine or if that's on Unreal. And we also we just don't know enough about Like a Dragon 8 to know anything. And with Unreal Engine as a reference, I mean, they probably will. Let's be real. They've only loosely, lightly talked about it, so they likely will probably do something like that. I mean, Unreal 4. You take one look at Unreal 4, and you'd be convinced it's Dragon Engine. And the only way they got well, you look at what they did with Unreal 4. I mean, like with Ishin, you'd already think it's Dragon Engine. So clearly, they've already modified and messed with it. Something similar, yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do experiment with the engine a lot and then kind of make their own alternate version of it. The only thing I'm concerned if they're moving to Unreal is that the biggest consequence the Unreal Engine has on consoles, and we don't know about Unreal 5 whether that'll clean it up, but it is a thing in 4, is that on console there's an inherent input delay. And even if it's only 2 to 3 frames, if it's a fighting game or an action game, the main game Yakuza are and what Ishin is going to be, those frames are kind of problematic. So it's I hope they find a way to clean that up. We're playing Ishin. Yeah, so the thing is Ishin is, as I said, Ishin is not a brand new thing. It's a remake of a game that originally never left Japan, which is why they're doing it and they're going big with it now, because it just never escaped Japan. It originally came out after 5 but before 0, to give you an idea of where it actually is in terms of RGG's development mentality. It was after they made Yakuza 5, but it was before they made Yakuza 0. So it was before some of the changes that 0 brought to the formula that then carried over into Kiwami and then carried over into the Dragon Engine games existed. The only thing I'm not too keen on, and they have confirmed that it's an option that you can toggle, is the card system. Because the card system was never a thing outside of minigames in the original version of Ishin. Yet they've made it something that's a part of the main game now in the remake, where you have a playing card system alongside your fighting style. And no one was too keen on that. And so they've, in the newest showcase, they revealed that it'll be optional, that you can turn it off. So if you want it to just be the sword play, you can make it just the sword play. But if you want the crazy card game mechanic systems, you can have that with it. I don't know if I'll get Ishin, honestly, just because it's a Yakuza game, for goodness sake. It's gonna be so long, and it's I'm already committed enough to so many other things. The last thing I want to do is then add another super long game that I need to commit to finish onto my streaming schedule, you know? Okay, so how do we find it? Figuring that out is part of the test. Maybe you'll find it in the environment. Maybe a monster will drop it. Which doesn't appeal to me, and that's fair. Now hurry up, prepare yourselves, and head out. It was straight up the highest requested game to come to the West for years, though, which is why the hype for it's so big. I'm not that fussed either, but you understand is when Yakuza 6 came out, that was also around the time that people in the West were really aware of Ishin and started demanding it happened. And at first, their reasoning was Yakuza's not popular enough in the West to then put to translate a spin-off, because spin-offs make less money anyway. Then Yakuza took off in the West, and so they then asked again, "Are you going to do an Ishin remake?" Japanese cultured games don't do well in the West. Sekiro then got Game of the Year, which is super Japanese culture, so that excuse went. After that, it was the game's too old, so we don't want to do it. And then they went, well, then just remake it then. And then they went quiet, and now the remake's happening. So it's for the longest time, RGG would put any excuse in front of us to not remake Ishin. And it's why people wanted it so badly, because it felt like they were just pushing the goalpost out every time. But now they're doing it. More tantalizing than Dead Souls. The thing with Dead Souls is that I enjoy it ironically. The game is bad. The game is hilariously bad. But there's some part of it that I just find it funny because of how weird it is. That I get fun out of it because of it. But like, that's it. I wouldn't say for a second it's good, nor would I recommend it to anyone. It's just I get ironic entertainment out of it. You got it. Is it remake all over again? No. Well, 7 Remake, the thing with 7 Remake, that's different. The thing with 7 Remake is that way back before the PlayStation 3 came out, they did a tech demo to showcase what the PS3 could do, like Sony did. In that tech demo was a full recreation of Midgar, the main city. They did a full recreation of Midgar, the main city from FF7. That is what started the demand for a 7 remake. Because Sony kicked the ball by remaking Midgar to show it as part of their tech demo. But at the time, Square Enix, they had a very different mindset at the time than what they have now. They didn't like the idea of looking backwards. They just really were against it. They were like, no, Final Fantasy 7 was great and all, but let's move on. Let's see what we can do in the future. So they instead made FF12, then 13, and so on and so forth. It was actually the lead character artist of 7, and the sole reason why all the characters don't die at the end of 7, the Kingdom Hearts' own Tetsuya Nomura, who actually then reached out to Square and said, can we do this? And after a lot of weight throwing, Square at first said, okay, fine, but we're not doing it in-house. So they got CyberConnect 2 to work on it. But then CyberConnect 2, after working on it in 2 years, their build wasn't good. And so Nomura kind of pushed his weight around a little bit and said, let me bring it in-house for the love of God. And Square finally went, yeah, alright, fine. And it ended up being the best decision ever because the game was then universally praised and sold millions and is now Square Enix's best-selling game ever. Legend of Dragoon remake. I think now that 7... Honestly, I think now that 7 Remake was as successful as it is, regardless of who likes it or who didn't, because of how successful 7 Remake is, there's no way Square's going to be as against going back on their past as they used to be. They are absolutely going to start remaking some of their other older titles. But I think it's absolutely going to happen. Whether they go to things like the Legend of Dragoon... I think Legend of Dragoon was Square. I think it might have been Enix, but it was still Square Enix. I think that was them. Or whatever. I think there's more of a probability. If it's not them, then, well, who knows. But I think, like, it's a lot more of a probability. And before anyone asks, but don't they remake Dragon Quest games like every year? That's the Enix side of Square, not the Square side of Square. They're different. They have a very different mentality and focus on that sort of stuff. It was a now defunct Sony Japan. So I suppose it's open. And best case scenario then would be what's the team called? That is like Sony's like de facto remaking games team that did Shadow of Colossus remake and Demon Souls remake. Because their way of remaking games, the reason why they can do genre jumps and yet still make really near perfect remakes, is because they reverse engineer the code instead of making new ones. Made by Sony Japan as a prophesized FF7 killer. Yeah, there's nothing that's that'll never not be funny to me than blah 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 killer when a new comes out, because they never are. Anything that like totes itself either by the devs or by the audience as a blah 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 killer has no understanding about the longevity of a fan base. And I still see it nowadays when any new free-to-play open world game comes out and they go, is this the Genshin killer? And I'm like, and then I just glance over and it's like, Genshin's newest 2-week-long banner sold more than any other banner in the franchise's legacy. And I'm like, it's not. It's not. Tower of Fantasy, is this going to be the one that kills Genshin? No, Tower of Fantasy vanished off the ether in 2 weeks. And then Genshin's banner that same period broke bank like over $12 billion through microtransactions. And FF7 especially, because that one, like I said, when it originally came out, reinvented JRPGs. Straight up. It completely reinvented the wheel on how JRPGs should be in terms of gameplay, in terms of tone, in terms of nature, in terms of style, in terms of everything. It completely reinvented the wheel. You can't then just be like, this one's going to be better than that, because no. No. Originally got screwed over by being released on the PS1 right when the 2 was released. Yeah, it annoys me so much that happens. There are so many franchises that I love or have time for that never got a good chance or, you know, really had to fight to get their chance because of when they released. Shantae is a very good example. The Game Boy Advance had been out for 2 years and suddenly this fucking Game Boy Color game comes out. It's a really good Game Boy Color game. It was really good, but no one played it because the Advance had been out for 2 years. Heck, the original Persona 4, it came out in 2008 for the PS2. The PS3 and the 360 have been out for 3 years. And so it just didn't do well at the time. It just became like a culture game that some people had heard of, and that was it. Practically invented quick time events. Yeah, it's fair. Didn't popularize them though. That unfortunately, well, fortunately, unfortunately, I love RE4, but we'll get more to it when we get to it. Was popularized by Resident Evil 4 because that game, there's so fucking many, and all of them are like lightning fast and will kill you instantly if you miss them. It's like that's like the thing that will kill me the most in RE4. I don't remember all the quick time events at all in that game, so I will absolutely get caught by a couple of them. Especially during the knife fight, because the entire knife fight is QTEs. The Krauser knife fight, all of that is like 10 QTEs back to back, and if you miss any of them, you die and you have to do all of them again. They'll die, comrade! That one. But in saying that, I've never actually sat down and properly played Legend Dragoon, and I want to, because there were kids my age that played that over things like Final Fantasy or, you know, Persona and whatnot, and they loved it. And I always was interested, but I was always in my own camp, you know? And popularised it, but it did reinvent the wheel mechanic. Not socially. In my opinion, music's a lot better. That one's a tough... so that one you gotta be careful, because Tetsu Nomura... not Nomura, sorry. Oh, what was his name? It is Nomura, the composer. His 7 game I remember is One Winged Angel and the Victory Chiptune. And I think that's... Because at some point I want to stream Base 7. The problem is that for some reason it's got a blocked scene. And it's like, the game came out in 97. What do you mean blocked scene for spoilers? You know? But it's got blocked scenes, so I kind of can't, because it's like, it's over like the 2 most significant scenes in the game. And it's like, come on. Uematsu, thank you. It's like, Uematsu's a Hall of Famer. He is not only the most recognized composer in the entire industry, but almost every JRPG composer you hear nowadays went to the school he taught. Like, so his legacy is everlasting. So it's one of those things, like, you can have preferences, but it's almost like you gotta always respect the Godfather kind of thing. Because I can guarantee you, this game's composer probably was taught by Uematsu. Legend of Dragoon's composer was probably a classmate or knew Uematsu. Like, Uematsu is like a living legend in the industry and has been around since literally like the early 80s. And he still does music to this day, because nothing can stop that man. And the crazy thing is that some of his best work... no doubt, I didn't... Everyone is convinced it's a question of vision. No, don't get me wrong, I was more just saying, like... Like, Legend of Dragoon, yeah, sure, it probably does. But to say it's better in a whole, but I'm also biased because I grew up with Final Fantasy, so it's like I've been like hail to the king for that man for like most of my life. Western rock composer for Legend of Dragoon. Oh, I didn't know that, because I haven't played Legend of Dragoon 2. But that's kind of interesting. Kind of nervous, but it's in the name of improving my alchemy, so I have to do my best. Actually, isn't Legend of Dragoon actually on the PlayStation Classics I think it is. Like the actual PlayStation version. Because that might be something I entertain at some point next year. Because I honestly hadn't even thought about it in years until you mentioned it, and I was just like, oh yeah, right, that game. So what I mean was a knockoff of Imatsu rather than a composition quality itself, and yes, the Vita. If it's on the classics, I can... maybe it's on here. Actually, you know what? Give me 2 seconds. I can just quickly find out. Hang on, just give me 2 seconds. Legend of Dra... What? Why did it come up with Star Ocean? No, never mind. They don't... Yeah, they'd have to be on PSTV. They don't actually have a, like, PS5 supported version. I'd have to bring out the PSTV to try it. Oh well. Oh well, had to quickly check though. Worlds of music, composition, more Western thing and more built around Imatsu. Yeah, I get that now. This is an abandoned fairy stone mine, right? I had no idea something so beautiful was so close to home. Ampel called it the Songun Mine. Guess the name makes sense. How can you two be so calm? There's got to be a bunch of strong monsters around here, right? Lily chose this place specifically for our exam, so I'm sure we'll be fine, so just stay alert. Comparing apples to oranges, yeah, fair. This means it's only a little dangerous. Seriously, why do they bring Tao along? Like, Ryza and Len are always on board for anything, meanwhile Tao's permanently, no! It's like, come on, just send him home. Keep your voice down unless you want to draw the monsters near us. Alright, let's tread carefully. It means you, Ryza. What's that supposed to mean? Complete monsters of the puny race. Are there any punies in here? Pressing it down to PS1 limited specs. Yeah. One of the blessings as technology has gone on that's like actually easily agreeable is how, you know, composers actually get to go crazy now and not have to worry about tech limitations. I've seen composed video games before. And sometimes that's really bad, sometimes that's really good. Because sometimes it's like they just think, oh, it's just that weird like beep boop shit, so they put like no effort into it. Sometimes they don't like have any kind of rules or expectation to base it off, so they just do crazy things that they want to do and it ends up being way better. You know? It depends on the mentality of who's doing it. Ow, ow, ow. No, it's circle to attack, you need to remember. Magic damage. It worked out in their favour. Cool. Or like another good example, the original Bravely Default. I think that was Ravo's first like video game soundtrack, and they're a band. And yet Bravely Default's got a phenomenal soundtrack, especially for what they got out of a 3DS. Having a full rock orchestra come out of my 3DS was breathtaking, you know? But they, unfortunately, because they were busy with Attack on Titan, couldn't get them in for the sequel. The enemy couldn't get them back for Bravely Second. But they are back in Bravely Default 2, because, you know, just to confuse people. You can almost pinpoint the areas themed afterwards for the boss battle. Fair. Oh, it was use your items. Let us impulsively use skill. Next time. It's square for item. Oh, you're weak to bombs? What was... I know this is going to be like a really hard question to just suddenly pinpoint all of a sudden. But what was the PS1 JRPG where you fought Gothic Necklord and it was one of the sickest tracks ever composed by a human being? Because like, I was like... Because that's like the only track that's just come to my mind that's like not a Final Fantasy track. And I'm like, I don't think that was Legend of Dragoon. I think that was something else. Morning Angel will play the same music phrase to every Dragoon track. Yeah, but the thing is, at least to me, base RE7, Jesus, FF7 was like that. Every single track, you could literally play it and go like, oh, that's that from that. Every single track was so recognizable to me. And the fact that I can do that... No, I did. Oh, no, I didn't. No worries then. I'll probably remember it as I leave. I think it was like... Suikoden? I think it might have been Suikoden. If that's even how you pronounced it. Because I remember that. So I remember I had a friend who had it. And I remember like hearing that for the first time. Like even now I'm like... If you actually ever heard the track One Man... Or like Gothic Necklord's theme. Because it's actually really good. Like it's always kind of like throwing me off guard. It's like... What do you mean this is like an early to mid PS1 track? This is really good. After this fight, I'll quickly like get a link, and I'll be able to then get the fight. Oh god, okay, these enemies are kind of dangerous. Oh, Len. Oh god, oh. Hey, let's get out of here. Are you guarding the blue orb? Because the objective marker is on you. The original 70 the comment. I think that's the thing though, like, if you've played the game, obviously like the moments of the game also help make the track stick. Whilst if you haven't and you're just listening to the soundtrack, it doesn't mean as much because you're just listening to the music. There might be a great track that you listen to and makes you go wow and whatnot, but if I like started playing, you know, the Assault, you're not gonna know or really care or notice what about it. If I then start playing like the Forgotten City, that's not gonna mean anything to you. If I then start playing the Motorcycle Chase, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like the list goes on. I can play all these like infamous and beloved and significant tracks, but it doesn't change the fact they won't mean anything to you because you haven't played them. In the same way, if you backed me started playing, you know, a bunch of Dragoon tracks, I would be like, all right, they're good, but that'd be it. I wouldn't remember them. I feel like I'm slightly underleveled or underpowered for this area. If the defensive guy is the one who's like nearly dying. Oh, we're at tech level 1, so they're doing a lot less hits. Ooh, red drop. Design philosophy, man. PS1 some sidetrack. Yep, PS1, because of the beauty of disc technology, like every composer wanted to bring their A game to really push what the new technology could allow. You know, they weren't on cartridges anymore, so they didn't have to use a soundboard. They could actually just make music and translate it into the disc. Yeah, it had to still be compressed because of PS1, but that door being opened of no longer having to use sound chips and having to use a soundboard, suddenly like what it was like spreading their wings, and so all of them like really leaned into it. Let me actually go find that track super quick. It'll take 2 seconds. Oh, it was Suikoden 2. Ah. Copy link. Where's my stream? Oh, I remember hearing that as a kid. And just being like, what the heck? And that's like an early-ish PS1 track. And it's not even the final boss theme. Ooh, lightning ore. I'm surprised they simplified the name. Because in the older games, wasn't it like Purpleflor or something like that? A dead end already? Looks that way. There's a little more narrow than I expected. I gotta be honest, I feel like there's a lot more left to do. Let you guard down your guard. Oh, if I actually have to fight that thing that like rinsed the party, I might go explore the frontier and like try and get some resources and make some better equipment then. Because outside of like bomb spam, which you can't even really do in this game compared to the mysterious, I'm not sure how I'm coming out on top. Here goes nothing. One thing I've said before, like my thing with and I can use this, so I can actually pause for a second. My thing with Ryza is that the soundtrack isn't meant to amp you up in the same way that a lot of the mysterious tracks are. They're meant to more make you feel like you're on a big relaxing adventure. They want you to be cozy more than anything. And when it's that, then I'm all for it. I think the soundtrack's great for what it is, and I like it for what it is in its own way. I genuinely like this game's soundtrack. It just doesn't make it immediately as, you know, catchy and memorable as some of the mysterious tracks by default because of the nature of how they handle it. Hey, isn't this what Lil asked us to fight? So we did have to fight that thing. Well, I'm glad I item spammed it. Let's take it to her right away. No philosophy. Similar, but not the same. No, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. I'm not gonna be that pedantic. Oh, I've got an axe. I should really be using that on the trees. Because Lily and Sully still had some bops. Like Lily and Sully's thing was more that they just wanted to do away with using the electric guitar so much. And to be fair, it worked because I really like that game's soundtrack. The coziness and ambience as well. But I remember filling in the shade. If they wanted to, they could at least try. I'm curious what they'll do with Ryza 3. Considering. Because, you know, like, Ryza 3, it's not... You obviously, like, it's gonna have that same more, like, adventure-y, cozy, like, friends going out one more time kind of feel to it, like this game, and presumably Ryza 2 will. But it's also the final of the trilogy. Like, they've really made a point. It's like, the final this, final that. It's, like, the end-all, be-all of this saga, for now. Like, they might do a Ryza 4 way later on, you never know, but you get what I mean. For now, that's the impression they're making. I need to make 7 slots? Sure. I'm extremely hyped for Ryza 3, dude, don't you worry. I am extremely, like, through the moon hyped for that game. really enjoyed Ryza, and I'm enjoying going through it again. But I don't have, like, I don't go into it, like, expecting it to be the same as Mysterious Saga, because that's literally not the point. They want each saga to feel different, so of course some aren't going to click the same, but I love this game, because it feels like a, you know, it's more of like a coming-of-age story, a little bit, because it's, you know, it's Ryza, we're going to go on adventures, always want to do this, but never really being capable. And it's her, like, finding her footing and finding her ability to actually look after herself and look after her friends, and be an adult who knows what priorities are and what's worth and what's not. Whilst Mysterious, although that coming of age was also a part of it, like I say, it always felt more like it was more about the significance of what the characters had gone through and how they grew from it, as opposed to just coming of age. Highest bit of familiarity. Yeah, I get that. That's a trait slot. I only really need one. We don't have enough materials for that, so it's just synth quality, add lightning, add gears. I'll do that. Not that it matters. Okay, and do I have any twos? I do not. Oh, okay, but we're probably not going to get enough. No. What's sponge? Extra HP. Increase item heal about by 10%. So one is its strength, but barely above Verona and Totori for about the moment for me. Oh, alright. So like for this one, like it's more of like a memory game for me, because I did go through it back in 2019, but that was back before I was into the series, and just played it very super casually and just kind of went, yeah, alright. And then when I was done, that was it. Which is why like my memory for it isn't all there. Like I said, my memory goes about as far as building the Atelier in the woods. After that, it might as well be fresh again. Oh, I want to make that hammer. So in fairness, was a massive improvement. And the thing is, Ryza 3, although it's also on PS4 and Switch, seems to be leaning into like the power of the newer technology a lot more. Like, you know, even with things like, you know, the open world that they're going through and whatnot, that they are, as a motorbike passes by, trying a lot more with it and taking a lot more things. And it does look like they're taking some risks here and there. And just trying new things here and there, instead of just, you know, being more Atelier. Which I say that, like, that's new, but no, Gust always tried different things. Oh, I don't have anything for that, okay. So, no, don't be, it's just Gust. Gust always take little experiments and little risks here and there. The big risk they're taking is the fact that it's going to be open world. They've made open environment games, but they've never made full open world, whilst this one is full open world. But then looking at the trailer, it's still very story and character driven, so it's not like they're just going to throw you out and then just forget about the story. It's still going to be loads of cutscenes, still loads of characters, lots of little moments and quests right now. Right, I have bad nightmares focusing on PS5 hardware. Yeah, but they're not CD Projekt Red, you know? Like, just because it's got more of a focus. If it's on the Switch and it can run on the Switch, it's gonna be fine on PlayStation, you know? If it's on the Switch, you know, the worst one running of the hardware, the weakest of the hardware, and it's running fine from what we've seen from previews and whatnot, it's gonna be fine on PS4. Yeah, this is Gust. Sorry, I don't want to stop talking. I can overhear a conversation about Pokemon between my mum and my sister, and I wait to hear it. I'm terrible for that. Anyway, it's not like Ryza 3 on the maintenance level of Valhalla. Yeah, because it's actually made by a team that are extremely passionate And that's not to say that everyone at Ubisoft are machines that don't care, but they don't get time to care, unfortunately, sometimes because of the nature of the beast they work for. Can we do this quest yet, or is it still red? What does it I actually need before I can even open this quest? What do I actually need to open this one up? It's not going to tell me. Something. Oh, fish oil, okay. It also won't watch better on 5 and on 4. Yeah, I think at worst, honestly, it'll be like Soul Hackers 2's PS4 to PS5, where just the load time is very noticeable on 4 compared to 5. Actually, before we go back and turn that in, I haven't been up here in a while. Take a snack and a pee break before loading screen in Valhalla was done. Yeah, I still think the worst offender is still Cyber Dimension Net. The initial load for that game is like, you can go make dinner, eat it, come back, and it will say 50%, and you're like, okay. So I'm slightly over a minute on my PS4 Pro. Oof. But I think like that was like a filler screen in Cybernet. Like I think like even if I fight it on my PS5, it would take just as long. Like it was designed to always be that exact length or something, so it could have filler time to load everything. It was just that it was so long. Sorry, it was just bad programming. Yeah, it was just wasn't optimized well. Hey Doc, I'm surprised to see you here in the night in the rain. Oh, hello Ryza. I guess you caught me. I've been reflecting on the past a bit, so I closed up shop to make a quick visit here. The past? That's right. I'm sure you don't remember. You would have been very young. But actually from this island, you know. I was involved in a terrible accident. One of the locals who spotted me floating in the water and saved me. What kind of accident? To be honest, I have no idea. My memory of the accident and everything before it is a total blank. The only reason I know my name is that I was a physicist is because of the memo I had on me. I had no idea you'd been through something like that. Luckily, I hadn't lost my core knowledge of medicine. The locals built a hospital basically just for me. That's incredible. So, I've been hearing stories about what an amazing alchemist you are. Does that sound right? Well, I'm still just a student. Like we're trying a new engine with such gravitas in 4GO, as it extends well beyond an issue with the change of engine and general idea of shooting competence. Yeah. A lot of it's also, it might not be down the staff, it could easily be how much time and money they put onto it. They might not have just had the resources to hyper knuckle down on the optimization. Because that's like the ultimate death of every team that works on a Call of Duty game. They do not have the time to optimize it at all, which is why all those games are like 200 gigs big when they have no right to be. It's not that they can't, because anytime they're given time, they do. Anytime it's not Call of Duty, it's any other game, and they're given more time to work on it, they optimize it perfectly. But Call of Duty, they never have the time, so each game's like 200 gigs big for no reason. When you know it could be a tenth of that. So I'm not about to immediately throw that dev team under the bus, because who knows what was going on behind the scenes. You know? Like, it might have been time, it might have been budget, it might have been that they just weren't that great, but you never know. Oh, I'm still just a student. I see. Will it be okay if I ask you a favour? If it's something I can do, then sure. Thank you. Do you think you could make some neutralizers for me? Oh, you need neutralizers? I do. Actually, when I found out you were an alchemist, neutralizers were the first thing that came to mind. I had this strange feeling that there may have been some connection to the past. Oh, I see. Okay, then I'll make some and bring them to you right away. Thank you very much. You know where to find me when you're done. I have a lot of neutralizers already, don't I? I would have guessed he has amnesia. I hope the neutralizers can help him uncover his past. Attribute incompetence, but it's a common aspect of the game. If single player and multiplayer could be broken with a specific gem combo. Yeah, oh, so, okay, so we higher quality, great. Yeah. But then, like, 4GO is just a weird one in general. At least for me, it was. As I said before, I platinumed it, and then that was like the last time I played it. Ever. Alright, high quality neutralizer. Aha! I have figured out how we're going to get a high quality neutralizer. One of the most unlikable versions of each character, OST being well below expectations, anything I consider an improvement with character sprites. I love the character models. And it's like, I appreciated, even though I didn't think it was the best, that it was like the closest we're probably ever gonna get to like a vert focused game. You know? It's like, you know, Blarney has like Blanc vs Zombies, Noir has like Hope of Devotion Noir, Nep has fucking most of the franchise, and yet then there's like Vert who's like had nothing really. And yet in that game, like, although its story was weak, it was at least like, it felt like it was something that was slightly more in her favour. Oh, that's not much in terms of supplements. I might actually make a little bit more so I've got some spare. I'm not going to use more of my Aqua ore. I'm burning through enough of that as is. Oh my goodness, I just realised how low the quality is. There we go, I was going to say, wow. Hang on. Sprites are my preferred attire. The problem is that it makes canon outfits boring and milk toast. Yeah. To be honest, like, I know it's a bit of like a hot topic. Well, not hot topic in terms of like controversial, but just kind of like some people like it, some people don't. But you know that mobile game that was on like Android, well, a little on Android in some areas of the world, but not in the countries I'm in to play it, and on iPhones, that mobile net game. The way they animated the characters in that, that please. The way they animated the sprites in that, do that. Because that was so much smoother and cleaner than what it's like in the main games. It's like visual update. In MMF, yeah, for aim. Like you just do like the like clean it up and just do that stuff. And the thing is, like, for me personally, I know, like, I say afraid, that's the wrong way of putting it. They're probably slightly hesitant to do it because a lot of people, they only do it jokingly, but I guess if enough people do it jokingly enough, it makes you as a developer slightly concerned about it. But everyone jokes that the reason why Nep is such a problematic character in Victory is because she had a costume change. And so, like, I think, like, that joke has just existed long enough that maybe Idea Factory is slightly hesitant. But personally, I don't want to see Nep in just that Parker hoodie again. I genuinely want to see her in a completely new costume. Same with all the goddesses. I think just give them a whole new look for, you know, like a whole new generation kind of thing. Much either. Be fair in small areas, but the design's more chic. Yeah. Like their designs made sense on the PS3. I think it's the best way to put it. Their designs made sense on the PS3, because although there were still complicated elements to it, they were still pretty simple as a whole. Because it was, you know, the nature of the beast of how they were as a company, how much money they had, you know, what they were working with, etc, etc. It just clicked for the time. But nowadays, like, they're just... If it wasn't for the fact I already like these characters, their designs wouldn't be that appealing. When they transform, that's a different kettle of fish. I think they all still look pretty cool in their goddess forms, in their CPU forms. But they're actually default, like, you know, human forms. Most of them don't look that interesting anymore. If a design was in Ninja Wars, yeah, I mean, you can still like the costume design even if you don't like the game. I mean, like ask Devil May Cry fans, all of them will tell you Dante's best look was Devil May Cry 2, but it doesn't change the fact that DMC 2 is DMC 2. Is that Boss? And Lumber, yeah, what are they doing here? I don't think they've noticed us. Let's hide and see what they're up to. Boss, you mean monsters might show up here, but we're in the middle of the island. That's what the report says, which is why you're here. Draw your sword and stand in front of me. But none of the Guardians took it seriously, right? It's probably just some meaningless rumor. It's rare, but I heard some monsters swim here from the mainland, or sea monsters pop up suddenly. What? That sounds super dangerous. Which is why we're here, to check it out. Now do as I said and draw your sword. Fine, you won't abandon me, okay? Just stay behind me. Don't act like such a coward, you're my training partner, right? Don't make me abandon you. Don't say that, boss, that's awful. Okay, so... Same so gaudy and full of fur that it feels nostalgic. Ladies of the family were always ludicrously fashionable, yeah. And I think they should lean into that in the main series. Ah, I'm a monster! You see that Lumber run away from a goat? You. Being the head honcho must be tough when you've got such a pitiful underling. Shut up! That's why I'm trying to teach him how to be more brave, but get out of my way. Yeah, she kind of meant that. Boss must have it pretty tough. Yeah, Lumber sucks. I hope Boss grows, because, you know, this is the Atelier franchise, and they always do a pretty good job at having characters grow and whatnot. So I hope Boss grows, instead of just being a bully arsehole, actually remembers that he was a childhood friend of Ryza. But Lumber just kept rid of him. That was absolutely a stock sound effects for sheep. That was absolutely just a bet. But I'd rather that. You know, like there's some games where it's like, oh, where's the dog? Oh, I only came over here because I thought the doctor would still be here. I guess he went home. Oh no, maybe he's only here at night. Should I just check the objective? I'll just go find him. I'd rather that. You know, like some games where they get like a person to do their best sound and they record that instead. You mean jerk with more to him character? Yeah, because like it was established early on. Because Ryza made a comment at some point along the lines of, you weren't like this when we were little. And it's like, so clearly these two have a history. It's just as he grew up, like what he felt were responsibilities just molded him and made him more blunt and cold and overly serious and dismissive towards everything. Lumber, on the other hand, he's literally just the underling. He goes, yeah, what he said to everything. Get rid of Lumber. Like, Lumber doesn't need to grow or go through a story arc. He's just a loser that'll be forgotten. Exafish? That sounds cool. Give me one. Oh, right. We're not in Sophie 2. I impulsively went to go buy some and forgot I don't have money in this game. I need to think about this a little more. You know, I'll buy one. My boss, it gives out a lot of context in 2. Your wish is granted. Good. I know he's in Ryza 3 as well, because I did spot him in that trailer. Boss going to go solo in 2. Good! Fucking gets rid of the dead weight. So I can see the growth. It's just he needs to find it himself first. Sure, I'll buy it. Just for early game, it'd be nice to have. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, hang on. Oh, I can't even afford it. I just looked at how much it is. Never mind. Like as a lone wolf, its dynamic with Ryza gets better into as well. Good. Also, I'll find out. But also, what helps as well with Ryza 2 is the exact same thing that helped Sophie in Furious and Furious in Lily and Sully. Ryza 2 is 3 years later, so you actually get to see how the characters matured and grew and learned from the first game a little bit. And Ryza 3 being another year after that, so you know Ryza will be 22 in that game. It's like, alright, cool. They better do something with Claudia. But I wonder if that's actually something they'll ever do. If they'll actually have an Atelier protagonist settle down, or whether that's just something they don't really want to do. Well, at least they come to a better understanding. Like I said, obviously, I'll figure a lot of that out for myself when I get there, because 2 I'll be going into blind. Pair Ryza a boss. From bullies to lovers. No. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be keen. Oh yeah, so you did come back to base. I'm being general about details, yeah. Hiya, Doc. I got what you asked for. Oh, is that right? And here you go. Do you remember anything? Well, let's see. Experience it for themselves, fair. No, still don't remember a thing. Oh, that's too bad. Well, maybe it'll start coming back to you over the next few days. Certainly possible. I'll try to really concentrate on it. I mean, it'll be easy when it's Ryza 3, because hopefully I'll have Ryza 1 and 2 done before Ryza 3 comes out in February. So I'll be able to, like, start it the day it comes out. So I won't have to worry about spoilers so much, because no one will be ahead. No one will be too far ahead of me to spoil it, you know? It's just a guess, but it may have somehow been involved with someone versed in the ways of alchemy. Way of alchemy? Oh, what about Empol? Not sure. Met him, of course, but other than the fact that he's an alchemist, something felt familiar. Okay. And I'll just keep on using alchemy to make more items for you till it comes back. I appreciate that. So I'm sure they'll impose on you again. I hope that's okay. Of course. I'd better get going for now. And to be fair, that is actually one of the things I take as a blessing that I'm a smaller streamer. If I was way bigger, I would need to have more mods just to spoiler watch. You know? That if anyone in chat tries to spoil anything, so they just get on it. Because, like, the Danganronpa being all about solving cases and solving murder mysteries and whatnot, not knowing who any of the culprits were, added so much fun to those games. Going into every case not knowing what to expect and where it was going next and being completely blind to everything without spoilers was great. What's to do with alchemy? Who could it be? Experience to me. It usually doesn't most of the time. It's very dependent. Like, the more personal the game story is to me, then yeah, the more I care. But if it's just like, for example, I mean, it's like a murder mystery game, as a whole, it's like, no, I want to... Oh, I guess you can get the hand-me-down. Like, I want to be able to find it all out for myself and learn all the mysteries of how it all is and how it works for myself, kind of thing. I mean, sometimes it works out, like, that I can be quite forgetful with some details and plot stuff. So sometimes that works out in its favour for me. Where, like, someone will tell me something and will spoil something, but then by the time I've gotten to that point, I've long since forgotten it. So the spoiler still hits. Not the spoiler, the twist still hits. It's the same game. I'm saying whether it or not I love it or not. Oh, fair. Like, for me, like, the Sonic Frontier stream's a good example. My reaction would not have been as crazy and as loud if I knew in advance that the boss fights I was getting into were that insane. And Sega did that deliberately. Every single advert for it, they amped up that you'd be fighting Titans. They never once in any promotion, even in, like, review codes and whatnot, allowed people to show off the Titan fights. And it's like, They knew. It's like they knew. It's like, no. They wanted this trick to catch people and like really surprise people, and it worked. Enhance the experience more rather than ruin it. Yeah, it's each their own in that one, though, I suppose, isn't it? I know that's very much like a deflated response, but yeah. Anyway, this is exactly what I was looking for. I'm surprised you found it. I'm glad. I can see you can follow directions, even when confronted with a new situation. Wait, so that's it? We passed? I feel like that was a little too easy. What were you expecting? Don't tell me you were actually worried. Today was a practice test to see how you'd handle yourselves on your own when you visit new areas. How we handle ourselves? I hope these two in more games later on. I don't know if they're in Ryza 2 or 3, but I hope they show up. We've taught you the bare minimum. The rest is up to you. You need to be able to act independently. Act independently? That makes me even more nervous. As it should. Thinking for yourself and taking the appropriate action is far more difficult in today's test. Is that I've got general hang and not spoiling and sort of pointing bother with people. I had it when I first started out. Oh, it was just someone's like, oh, and then in this game when this character dies, and everyone was like, wait, what? You have fun too, right? Because some people, the surprise is more magical and more significant than the information. That's all. How did it feel making your way through an unfamiliar place? It was awesome. To be honest, it was over way quicker than I expected. Is that it for our latest adventure? I was really damn scared the whole time. Yeah, well, shut up, Tao. It's not about you. We'll be putting more time and effort into our investigations soon. For now, do whatever you want. When the time comes, we expect you to help us wherever you can. Oh, and Ryza? Huh? Synthesizing with new materials is always fun, and going on adventures to find them is a great motivator. Oh, for sure. I like that little like hand bracelet thing that Ryza has. I've never seen anyone wear something like that. Like they either have a bracelet on. Like I say that it might just be that she's just holding her bracelet. It's something that she likes doing. But like I've seen people with bracelets and rings, but never saw one that just has like a around the palm bracelet like that, like she does. I'm clumsy and out of touch with people back then. The knowledge and attitude I have now. But that's the beauty of learning, isn't it? We always have this talk. My thing, and when I was a little kid, like it was just a bad habit, but I obviously got better as I got older and got more mature. If I experienced something that was like this big crazy twist and it blew my mind and was super amazing, I wanted to tell everyone about it. Which was problematic because that would include people who wanted to experience it themselves. Truly bears repeating, yeah. I'll get your magic tool eventually. There we go. So what's next in the plot? Is it just go home? Oh, burn a day. Okay. Let's go out and venturing then if we've got to burn a day. Just because that mini-boss did so much damage to me, it's like, no, okay, I need to actually grind a little. Not like grind, but just try and get some more resources to hopefully make better stuff. Ah, that was close. I messed up and Mum ended up catching me. Yeah, she's a pretty formidable foe. It's all over once she catches you. No mercy. What is she, the secret fucking super boss of this game? And I think she's getting stronger too. So hard to sneak out these days. Yeah, she probably has to be. I can imagine Ryza's mother has had to like grab her by the collar to stop her like busting out the door. Like so many times that she probably got muscles off of it alone. I mean, Ryza's series does have better home area settings. I mean, I actually am learning the town better. Which is, like, I learned what each area looks like in, like, Kirkenbell, in Sophie. But if you told me, okay, which path links to what part, I'd go, you know? Atelier I liked, so I thought Atelier was fine. But yeah, but this, the island is great. The island village is great. I really enjoy it. Stronger too. It's hard to sneak out these days. I hope that still continues in Ryza 3 though. If it being open world, It's not going to be like, it's probably not going to be split into to areas with load screens between them. It'll probably just be one big thing you walk into, won't it? Because it's open world, you could approach from any angle, so it'll just be a random village and you can approach it from any angle, go to it. Sort of like, you know, in Furious where you'd enter the villages from any angle. And it's only like the big cities that were split up into sections. Like, I imagine it'll be more like that, so I'm hoping that they still have good design and good, like, feel to them when you can just approach them anywhere. And comparative, it's still wonderful, just not as memorable. Yeah, I agree. How'd you manage to get her off your back? Huh? Oh, I just said I was going to go help Dad, and I didn't have to tell him anything, obviously. I've never had a problem getting Dad on my side. He's nice and easy. Why is this home area just genuinely wonderful? Yeah. I almost feel bad for your parents having to deal with a daughter like you. Hey, shut up. Just keep rowing. Oh, give me a second, guys. So my sister was off, so I thought I'd at least go say bye. She was only staying for the weekend, because she lives halfway up the country usually. There is going to be noise as well, because my mother did just warn me that she wants to do the hoovering, so you're going to hear a hoover at some point. Just as a heads up, you can hear boo in the background at some point. But as I said before, I don't want this stream to be super, super long anyway, so if anything, I'll do a bit of grinding and then wrap, and we'll just call it that for today anyway. Because I still don't want to take the mic. I do feel a lot more lively today, and I haven't actually spoke about that yet, about how why I ended up taking the Friday off in the end, like what actually changed. Because I was getting better on like Wednesday and Thursday, but on a Friday I basically woke up with a migraine, and that migraine lasted the entirety of the day, unwillingly. Like, it refused to go, it refused to weaken, it refused to stop anything. It was just like a vicious, relenting, like, your head will suffer, take this, and it just stayed the whole way through. And it ended up like I had no appetite, I'd like no energy for anything. I napped like way too much probably, and just got like very little sleep, and just genuinely struggled. And so it's just like, no, I am not in a. If I then tried to stream, it just wouldn't have worked. I would have fallen apart. And so it just made sense and was the most logical choice to just not. Which is annoying because most of last week ended up becoming quite a write-off, but it is what it is. But I am going to make a point of trying to like rearrange and reorganize a few things just to lighten the load for me more, to make it easier for like streaming and whatnot. Because when I'm not working, I'm streaming, and when I'm not streaming, I'm writing. And so that technique, that cycle, yeah, of course I was going to burn out and like hurt myself eventually. So I need to kind of reorganize that. So I will do. How far can we go? Actually, one sec. Yeah, you're gonna hear the hoovering in a sec probably, just a heads up guys. I'm sure I just had my mother pick it up. Oh, for a second I thought this was a steel puny. Way off in the corner, it looked like it was shiny. I thought it was like, the steel puny's already, what? No. I actually can't remember how far you can go this way. There is a side quest back here though, what? Who's back here? And what are they doing? What? What's back here? And that stock sound effect. Have I got to go find... Why is there a goat up on in a tree? Oh, it's like it's coming down. Hey, so, what were you doing up in that tree? Oh, right, I don't know what I was expecting. Ryza, please, sweetheart. Oh, goats like to eat paper, right? You want some paper, Mr. Goat? I'll take that as a yes. Alright, stay right there, I'll get you some. Do I have any paper? You want Zettel? You want high quality Zettel? You! Sure. I was going to give it scraps, never mind. Here's the paper I promised. Go ahead, eat up. Huh? Why isn't it eating it? Maybe he's nervous. I'll try leaving it here on the ground. Uh-oh. Hey, you're stepping on it! Come on, after I went to all that trouble. Huh? There's a hoof print right in the middle of it. Oh, I guess I'll just hold on to this for now. Where'd the goat come from anyway? What? What was... Okay. Where can we go from it? Oh, there's 2 exits. Can we use any of them? Also, what's over here? Oh, this is the game that had like the whole like jump shoes or flight shoe thing. Oh no, we can't get through it. Okay, I was gonna say maybe it's something to do with that. Oh, this is a beautiful area. Pixie Spring. Oh, I'm guessing you're like the leader. And if I approach you, it'll be on my own. Oh, you're big. Oh, and you've got a lot of health. Oh, I might have made smarter choices. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, that's not actually... I was expecting that to just kill. I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting that to just murder. Oh, you resist it? Well, it gets Tao to do something. I shouldn't be so mean to Tao. I really shouldn't. He's just the shy kid of the group. That's all it is. Oh, you got the stun. Jesus, look at the lighting. The lighting, I was like, oh my god, Ryza. It's like she spotted a demon. Ryza, oh my god. Actually, I'll go red. I'll let these guys just do what they need to do. Nice. Shining Trail, Dusk Flame. New skill, nice. Single target, increased area of effect. And you got fire-based damage, inflicts a single target, has a chance to get burned at level 5. We're not hitting level 5 anytime soon. In terms of like having fighters get to that talent level 5, that's not happening. In battle, oh god, Len's got loads. Get more Excel dives. I need to actually get on that. I should probably just like manually take control of him and just have him do Excel dives all the time. convert an item in battle. Oh, that's going to take forever. Use core items in battle. Oh, but Tao's quests don't exist. So it's because, you know, we're getting rid of him the very second we can anyway. So Tao's quests don't exist as far as we're concerned. Very sakes, Lao. Oh, is it this game or Ryza 2 that has started having some rather infamously, like, fan servicey animations for, like, navigating things, like crawling under gaps or something? I think it was Ryza 2. I remember seeing a clip of Kiara, another streamer I watched, going through Ryza 2, and her having a very, like, a very moment, shall we just say, when she saw how, like, fan servicey some of it is with a character that she really loved. Let's see if we can go either of these ways. I don't know if we can, or this is way later on, or if the game's just going to let us. Oh, I did not even see that puny until it started moving. That sneaky boy. Well, if I just do this with Lent, and then next chance have Lent use Excel. Well, the enemy's about to die anyways, it doesn't matter. Defeat punies. Oh, that worked out then. Are you going to stand a chance against you? You're the one that we had to be saved from. You're weak to ice, have this. Oh wow. I need to actually get to AP2. I need to stop just trying to do the little things. There we go. Oh, what's Ryza's? I haven't actually seen hers yet. Oh, she just shoot. Okay. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. Oh, jeez. God, even the lighting sometimes. Sometimes the lighting just goes in, but Lent looks sick. Still dive again. Let's get rid of this thing. Nice. Giant puny ball. That's a new resource for this saga, I think. I don't remember ever picking a giant puny ball up in any of the Mysterious games. Alright, can we keep going this way, or would the game tell us no, that's enough for your little adventuring? We can keep going this way. Ooh. Ooh. But this is the end. And we can't travel that far because we need wing boots by the looks of it over there. We need to be able to jump high. Memorable mist flower. Mossy drip. Oh wow, there's better stuff here as well. A lot of punies around. Ooh. Oh, okay. It was worth the adventure to check this place out then. I'm gonna hit this puny. Trying to get this resource. Yeah, I think to get the Excel dives up for that challenge, I'm just going to stick with Lent. I was going to let Lent lead for a bit. And just have him Excel dive each one. I could put him on red mode, but then I have to then put it to chance that his AI will use it. And I'm working on self-training as well while we're at it, so it works to do this. Oh, Tao got something. Oh, I need to actually... I forgot you have to actually turn these in afterwards. I forgot they're not automatic. You have to actually then do this. So, aggression. Omi Alchemist. Vitality. I completely forgot. I was like, why haven't I noticed any of this stuff yet? Right. Now let's have a look at what we got. Oh, here we go. Increases damage when tactics is 3 or higher. Increase max HP. Yeah, it's gone up to 72. You got a critically increased attack. Sure, because aggression is really helpful for you. I'm sorry, I know I'm like the pioneer of like Tao slander, but yeah, I'm just not the fan of that kind of character trope personally, so I just don't care. The whole wimp that finds his footing trope, it's like, if they're slightly nervous, slightly shy and find their foot, that's fine. If they're just, no, I don't want to do anything, and that's their character, then I just find them tiring. And I know, like, how obviously he'll grow up and age as the series goes on, because, you know, that's how the series works, and I'll probably like him way more as the series goes on and whatnot, but as it stands right now, it's like, please, for the love of God, let me get this boy off the party. Like, how far much further do I have to go before I get Claudia in? I remember it being a while. The moment I do, Tao's gone. Oh, is this our limit? Are these enemies or are these NPCs? They're enemies, okay. They're enemies that didn't aggro to me. Yeah, like these. Ooh. Yeah, we don't have something to boost us up the cliff yet. These guys look different from the other fairies, so I want to fight them. That's not like Goku. Yo, hey, you look strong. Can I fight you? Oh wow. Oh, what do we get? What's this? Sky bubbles. Ooh. Sure, I'll try swinging at the knights. Time to fight the knight! Watch this thing be like 20 levels above me and rinse me. Living armor. Oh, actually, I think we'll be fine. Yeah, we'll be fine. It lowers your defense, so it could be dangerous, but no, we'll be good. I appreciate that the game design's aware that people will go explore here at this point, and so instead of punishing them because they're not supposed to be here yet, they'd make it so that you can actually survive the fights here. So your curiosity is more rewarded than punished. Because you know what I mean, there are some games where you do that. It's like, can I go here yet? Oh, I can go here. Oh, all the enemies are like 50 levels above me. Oh, okay, never mind. The stump stage. Aw. And here I am just stealing all your flowers. So I imagine up there would lead to another area, just not yet, because plot. Like there will either be like a cave entrance that the characters don't acknowledge, or as we approach it they'll say, oh, maybe we should come back later, or something like that. Actually, yeah, so this just looks like a den. Maybe this is a dead end. Let's go fight Weasel Boss. So I bet you're I bet you're defending something. We'll defeat Weasel Boss, get our treasures, head home. It'll probably trigger a cutscene because we've been out of for a while, and then after that I'll wrap up and say that was a decent length for my returning stream. Oh jeez. Thank you, Len. I was like, please, why don't you two, please? Stop this thing. That wasn't too bad. And I got a Nardi ring. Let's see. It's better than the one I got, and you can't equip two of them, so you enjoy that. You enjoy that. And then you get the hand-me-down. Because you're losing it the moment Claudia joins. Well, I say that by the time Claudia joins, hopefully I'll have better stuff to actually rearrange. Alright, all in all I'd say that was a good venture. Oh, it's still on one night. Oh, okay, then we know what we'll start tomorrow's stream with then. Right, firstly, so this is what I've been doing. So like next stream, I'll start there, and we'll literally I won't actually. Maybe I'll have that one, but I'm not sure I want to. I'm not sure I'll put that on her for a whole stream. Just throwing it out there. But I'll probably have that one because I like that dress, and then just go back to this, and then just essentially keep up this pattern, going through every stream. So in this stream we had this one, so next we're gonna have Sunny Smile. So I'll just do that so I'll remember. And in Ryza 3, like I was half debating just taking the jacket off, but then I saw what she looks like with her in Ryza 3. Like I've seen what her clothes look like without the jacket, and it genuinely doesn't look too far removed from like a pin-up dress. So I was like, actually maybe not. It doesn't look too different from like pin-up. I'm like, no, maybe not. I know that's pretty deliberate that it kind of looks not too dissimilar to that, but still. But I am going to wrap here. I think that's a good point to do. Like first stream back, we still did, you know, a little over 2 hours, so I think that's all right for what it was. For someone who's still trying to get our footing, we'll get a longer, proper Ryza stream in eventually. Hopefully tomorrow, I'll feel even better, and I can go on for longer, and we'll just take it one stream at a time. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
何か新しいことないかな。